Hey, how's it going, fight fans? Welcome to mindforcombat. If you're new to the channel, my name's Rohan, and this is my platform where I do fight sports related content. So if you're new here, why don't you help me grow my platform? All you have to do is subscribe to the channel, like the video if you like it, and maybe hit that bell icon so you get notified every time I upload a video. With that said, in this video, I'll be taking a look at the UFC's lightweight division. Well, a couple of things in the UFC's lightweight division. So I'm going to start off with why Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier is actually the correct way to go, and then on the back of that, we can talk about the fallout of the lightweight division. So firstly, let's talk specifically about the Conor McGregor Dustin Poirier trilogy. Now, this is interesting because a lot of people, they're not really liking this. They're not really liking the way that this is played out, and I get why people are feeling that way. They want to see Dustin Poirier fight for a belt. He's probably earned his right for a rematch for the title. With the 2 wins, the great fight of the night, back and forth war with Dan Hooker, and then knocking out Conor McGregor the way he did in the main event to start off the UFC's 2021 campaign in a big way. He does deserve a title shot, especially when you consider he was already top 5 going into both of those fights, and he was 2 fights removed from fighting Khabib Nurmagomedov. Now, a big contributing factor to why people feel like he deserves a title shot so much is because he only makes up one half of the equation, and in that Khabib is retiring. Well, he has announced his retirement, although he hasn't officially been stripped of the title. And I think that's kind of key and important coming into this, that he hasn't been stripped of the title. And for Dustin Poirier, a guy who's been around in the UFC or fighting at the top echelon of sport for as long as he has, I believe at this stage he's got 21 victories in the UFC. It's very important for him that he's able to establish a career where he can make the most money he can, particularly when you consider he's likely at the twilight of his career. Now, a fight with Charles Oliveira for the belt, yes, that would be great. He's calling himself the uncrowned champion, which I don't think you can say, because yeah, you knocked out Conor McGregor, but you lost to Khabib. Khabib's the champion as it stands right now, and the belt hasn't been taken from him. And what's really weird is that plays a lot into this factor, right? So let's organize this. So let's look at Khabib. Khabib has retired, but he has not been stripped of the belt. He has not vacated the belt, and he's still in the testing pool. Dana White is adamant that he wants to get him in there for one more fight. So as it stands right now, Dana is not allowing him to retire, shall we say. I don't want to say that because that's not fair to Dana, but for a lack of other terminology, I'm just going to say that. If by chance somehow you see, no disrespect to you, I really respect you, my man, but yeah, Dana's not currently allowing him to retire. And because of the way that's played out, that means the championship is kind of out of the equation in that sense. And also, Dustin Poirier seems to be uninterested in a fight with Charles Oliveira, Michael Chandler, or any of those guys, because it's not going to bring in the kind of revenue that a trilogy with Conor McGregor will. Also, he is 1-1 with Conor McGregor, and having just turned out the best performance of his career, he no doubt believes that he can beat Conor McGregor to cap off the trilogy and then move on to fight for the belt regardless. So I feel like that this is the right move for both of these guys. For Conor McGregor, it makes sense. It's the fight that will motivate him now. He's not exactly going to go down the pecking order and try to work his way up to the title. As much as we as purists may not enjoy that, we must accept who Conor McGregor is. He's a former world champion, former 2-time world champion, a guy who's the biggest superstar in mixed martial arts, and even a guy who's transcended the borders of mixed martial arts, and he's a superstar in the combat sports realm in general. He's done some of the most extraordinary things that we've ever seen in combat sports, including the crossover fight with Floyd Mayweather. And he's a guy who's really, really respected at the top echelons of the game. But at this stage, he's not trying to maneuver his way through the sport. He's trying to build a legacy, or add to a legacy, I should say, because his legacy is intact. He's trying to add to a legacy, and he's just caught a big loss to Dustin Poirier. He believes that his inactivity was a contributing factor, and maybe it was. He had only fought 40 seconds since 2016, so I think it's since 2018, sorry. And I do think it's important to note that. Meanwhile, Dustin Poirier has been fighting a lot. He's been in the ring a lot. He's been in there a lot. And in my breakdown for the fight, and in my video where I talked about why Dustin Poirier destroys Conor McGregor, I note that. So yes, that's an excuse now after the fact, but it was also relevant before the fact. And I weren't someone that was ignoring it, although I was picking Conor McGregor because of the stylistic matchup that was proposed. But Dustin Poirier did come out and impress us all with a switch game plan. I mean, there weren't rocket science, he kicked his legs, but that was a great game plan, a great deviation, and one that Conor didn't expect, because I don't necessarily see Dustin as a huge leg kicker. For Dustin, he's not got a big lucrative title fight opportunity that awaits him with the Khabib situation being tied up. He's not really interested in fighting Charles Oliveira for the belt. He's not really interested in fighting Justin Gaethje in a rematch for a belt. So he might as well go for the biggest fight as well. So for both of them, for their perspectives, this makes sense. Rankings wise, Conor is ranked in the top 10. I believe he's ranked even in the top 5. Dustin Poirier is a top contender, no championship belt in the in the picture. Even ranking wise, it makes sense. And actually, to cap off this trilogy and one way or the other to move on with Conor McGregor is an exciting prospect. This is a fun fight. Anyways, that's my rationale as to why I think that makes sense. But let's look at the lightweight division in a wider picture now. So with that happening, you got to wonder, well, what else happens now in the lightweight division, and what else happens in terms of the title picture? And before we get into the title picture, let's just talk about another superstar that kind of lurks around the 155 waters, and that's Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz has said he wants to fight between 2 to 4 times this year, and he's not really interested in fighting welterweights. So he's not necessarily fighting at 155. He doesn't want to cut, and he doesn't want to fight 170 pounders. Cool, that makes sense because there's a perfect guy that fits the mold. Now, Nate Diaz is a legend of the game, title or not. He's a veteran. He's been around for a long time. He's a superstar. He's got superstar potential, and he's a guy who's very well known to the casual and the hardcores of mixed martial arts. Well, there's another guy just like that who, like himself, is an older fighter, who, like himself, has been around in the game, and who, like himself, is actually coming off a loss, and that's Tony Ferguson. Now, ENQUIRIES is a year removed from a 12-fight win streak that was snapped by Justin Gaethje in a brutal fight, and then he of course got dominated by Charles Oliveira. But he has said, and he is willing to go up to 170 pounds. He's a veteran of the game and still a legitimate top-tier fighter, and he's most certainly still a top 5 lightweight in the world. Nate Diaz, if he wants to come back and get active again, and he wants to fight a guy who's respected at the top of the game, is a veteran, he's not a newcomer, well, this is the guy to fight. Tony Ferguson and him makes sense. Tony Ferguson has a bit of a history at welterweight. He won the tough at welterweight. He fought his first fight at welterweight in the UFC. He's actually knocked out everyone he fought at welterweight, and then he moved down to 155 after his fight with Ramsey Nijem, where he knocked him out to win the Ultimate Fighter. And then obviously the matchup with Nate Diaz, they've both been around in the UFC for so long, it actually surprises me they haven't crossed paths. But that's a lot of fun, that fight right there, and I think that's a great fight to make. It makes sense from that standpoint. So now that's tied up. So now we talk about the actual title picture and what's next, who's going to be fighting for the belt, and how this should pan out. And now to me, this makes sense. If we imagine that Khabib will vacate his belt now at some point, he is adamant that he wants to not fight anymore, and that's the assumption that we're going to go under, and we continue under that path. Cool, let's accept that, let's move on, right? So now, Charles Oliveira is obviously the next in line to fight for the belt with an 8-fight win streak, 7 finishes, just dominating Tony Ferguson. Now, Justin Gaethje come out and said, well, what has he done to deserve the title? I think he's done plenty. A 7-fight win streak with 7 finishes, capped off by Kevin Lee, and then to dominate Tony Ferguson and being, 9-1 in your last 10 fights, and 9-1 in his return to lightweight. He's also had, 18 wins in the UFC. He's 18-8 in the UFC. I think this is a guy who deserves a title fight. He's going to be one half of the picture. And the other guy is a guy who's come in and kind of blown up on the scene. Is a guy who just knocked out Dan Hooker. That's Michael Chandler. He's on a 3-fight win streak. He's on a 3-fight knockout streak. He's former 3-time Bellator world champion. He's just come into a lot of attention. He shined in a co-main event of a huge card. There's obviously going to be tons of attention and eyes on him. He's going to be getting a lot of traction in his career right now. And now's the time to cash in on Michael Chandler. He was there, brought in as an alternate for a title fight in the Justin Gaethje Khabib fight. Well, now's the time to actually give him a shot. Charles Oliveira is the obvious choice, and then the next is Michael Chandler to me. Now, there's other top contenders. There's Justin Gaethje, but he's coming off a loss. He just lost to Khabib. Might as well let him fight someone else and build up that credibility. And Michael Chandler makes sense. Do Michael Chandler and Charles Oliveira for the belt. Now, moving on, what else is next in the lightweight division? Well, Justin Gaethje, like I said, he's coming off a loss, and but he's still a top-tier fighter. And then the other top-tier fighter in the mix, that's Rafael dos Anjos. Those are the guys that stand out to me. Well, who should they be fighting? Some wisdom might say that they should fight each other, but actually, no. I want to give some other guys an opportunity to break into that top 10 of the lightweight division. I think some guys have earned that opportunity now, especially when you consider all the work that they've been doing. And one of those guys that stands out to me is the most recent standout, and that's Beneil Dariush, who just ended Carlos Diego Ferreira's 6-fight win streak to now be on a 6-fight win streak himself. He's had fight of the night performance in at least 4 of those, and he's a guy who's been around in the UFC for a long time. He's got 19 fights in the UFC. A true veteran, a true gentleman and staple champion. I believe that he deserves an opportunity to get that opportunity to fight the best and prove himself as top 5 fighter. And with Justin Gaethje coming off a loss, I think the Beneil Dariush and Justin Gaethje fight makes sense. So I think that's the fight to make. And I'm not saying Beneil Dariush versus Rafael dos Anjos, because I remember back when RDA was a champion, they were friends, and he said he wouldn't fight him. So I'm just avoiding that for now. Don't know if that still stands, but there was some talk of that back when RDA was champ. And finally, RDA, who should he fight? Well, he's actually having a bit of a layoff because he fought not that long ago. And there's a fight that makes sense for me for RDA, and that's Islam Makhachev. That was booked once before, but Islam Makhachev is obviously booked with Drew Dober, who's on a 3-fight win streak, 3 straight knockouts, 6-1 in his last 7. With that only loss being to Beneil Dariush, he's had an incredible career turnaround as Drew Dober. So, in my opinion, the winner of the Makhachev and Dober fight should fight RDA, and the winner of those prospective fights, so say Makhachev beats Dober and then beats RDA, and then Gaethje beats Beneil Dariush, and then he can fight. The winner of those fights can fight each other for a #1 contenders fight. So lots of fun to be had here. I think there's a lot of potential tournament to be put together. I think the lightweight division is an incredibly stacked one. It's a great opportunity to give some new blood an opportunity to shine, and it's a great opportunity to get some veterans tested. Got some superstar fights, and that's just my opinion. Anyway, sorry for the long-winded video, guys. This was just a really fun topic. I really wanted to cover it and cover it all in one video because I thought this makes a lot of sense. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please comment below and let me know what your thoughts are on the lightweight division and what you thought about my video and my thoughts on it. And if you guys are new to the channel, remember to like, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Thank you for watching, guys. I'm Rohan, and this is Mind for Combat.